Y'all already know what it is. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know how we coming. It ain't even a question. It ain't even a thought process. You ain't even got to wonder. Now, I sit back in the cut and I watch a lot of things. And tonight's topic is no different. See, we look at things, we always over here, we try to look at things from both sides. And tonight, we're going to talk about it. I want to talk about something that you'll hear everybody say this word, but not quite understand what it is. And tonight, I want to talk about it. So, I used to be, I used to hear this a lot. I ain't gonna hold you. The word narcissist used to come around to me a lot. There was not a relationship that I was in. They used to call it a lot of traits. You know, you had a grandiose sense of self-importance. You know, you had a preoccupation with fantasies. You know, the belief that they are unique. You had a need for excessive admiration. You had a need for a sense of entitlement. You exploited people, take advantage of others to achieve their own ends. You had a lack of empathy, envious, arrogance. These are all signs, supposedly, of narcissistic behavior. And I get it. I think a lot of times, though, people don't understand that there are reasons as to why people move the way that they move. And I'm not here to judge or none of that. That's never been my thing. It's never been my thing. One of my main things is that you gotta move the way that you move. You have to. And I'm the type that I will move the way that I'm supposed to move, but I also believe in moving how you're supposed to move. And a lot of times people don't get that. So I used to be that person. Like, I think I had some narcissistic traits. I ain't gonna hold you, you know. And sometimes it took me a really long time to start realizing that and start putting two and two together. What up, Anita? I always put myself above the relationship at times. I was selfish. I think what it was, though, was me. I think I was afraid of getting hurt, played, whatever you want to call it. So I allowed a lot of things to go on that I shouldn't have. You know, you got pain. You could see the pain. You could definitely feel the pain. You feel drained. you feel confused, and you feel like you're walking on eggshells when you are in a narcissistic relationship. You know, there are many phases that you go through. One of the most craziest phases, the love bombing phase. They don't ease you in. They rush you. They tell you, that you're the soulmate, you're the best thing ever. And now let me start by saying this though. If they feel that way about you, they feel that way about you. You can't tell someone how to feel about you. But I mean, they studying you though. They mirroring your desires. They figure out what you like, what you want, and they trying to lock you down before you have a realization of seeing the truth. Now, if a person is genuinely into you, they genuinely into you. You can't make them not be genuinely into you. If I'm big on that. I believe in being into who I'm into, and that's just what it is. I ain't gonna hold it back. But a true narcissist, they will try to lock you down with their feelings, their emotions, their love, their gifts, all of this stuff, before you have a true intense feeling on seeing who they are. I think sometimes they come in a little too intense. Sometimes that's your first sign though. That's your first sign. I think what it is that people don't realize is that I think sometimes with the love bombing, it's a tricky slope, because you might have true feelings. You might not want to wait. You might already have your plan. You might already know what it is you're trying to do, and you don't have time to wait. See, a lot of times people know what they want. I don't care what anybody says. You know what you want through the door. You know what you want through the door. You don't have to waste time and play around with it. You know what you want through the door. If you have really, really good intentions. You know what I'm saying? Some people will it doesn't take you, me, I got 6 weeks before we start being towards what we doing. You know what I'm saying? So, but you have people out here who will be like, yo, I've only known you for 2 weeks, but you're the only person that understood me. We should move in next month. You know what I'm saying? We should move in together next month. It's only been 2 weeks, but I feel like it's been forever. Like that type of shit right there. Yeah, you'll see that. But now if a person is telling you, look, I like you. I think you're incredible. I want to get to know you, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. That's a little genuine. That's a different genuine form. Then you have the overt boss. Loud, arrogant, entitled, openly demanding narcissist. This is a classic one. You know what I'm saying? They expect you to prioritize their needs, their schedule, and their comfort always. Always. And I think I was this at one point. I think I was all of these at one point. I ain't gonna hold you. Some examples for that is like, we can't go to that restaurant. It's below my status. What? Since when is a restaurant below stat? Some people are too good to eat at Applebee's. Shout out to Bougie. Or they'll tell you some shit like, yo, you really need to quit your job because it's taking away from too much time for me. It's taking away from me to travel. It's interfering with my travel schedule. See, this type of narcissist, they expect special privileges, entitlement. You know what I'm saying? They feel entitled. And so, and if they don't get the VIP treatment, then the rage comes out instantly. They use their dominance to get what they want. All right, well, you ain't got time for me. Cool, I'm gonna go elsewhere. You don't want me, I'm gonna go elsewhere. You don't need me, I'm gonna go elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? That type of vibe. You know that Uh, you know how it goes. You know, you can we've been there. Then you have probably another one that I was highly involved with, the quiet, hypersensitive, and passive aggressive narcissist. That was me. This is the one that you miss. They gain supply by playing victim. I know I messed up, but you hurt my feelings so much when you pointed it out. I can't believe you treat me like this after everything I've been through. Oh, that was me. They use shame to control the guilt. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that was me all day. You know what I'm saying? You gonna apologize. You gonna chase me. Even though I was wrong, even though I messed up, which I did quite a lot. You're trapped in a cycle of trying to rescue them, which provides them with their supply. They got you hooked. They got you entangled because they're using that shit against you. They're using what they did for their gain because they tugging at your heartstrings. Believe me, I've went down that road quite a few times. Did it always work? No, but I've been down that road. You know. The next one, gaslighter. Yep. Making you doubt your own memory and sanity. You know, this is a signature move. You know, it's very signature. We deny things that we clearly said or did. You know, I never agreed to that vacation. You must be remembering it wrong. I didn't say we was going out tonight. You must be you're remembering that wrong. That never happened. You know what I'm saying? Even though they got the proof, they got the text, they got the voicemail, they got the message, they had the conversation. For me, gaslighting is emotional terrorism. You know what I'm saying? They break your trust in yourself so that you have to rely on their version of the truth. They will make you doubt everything that they know happened because they so good at it. And like I said, I've been down this path. You know, and I believe if you following all these and you can look back and say, you know what, that's me. Welcome to emotional narcissistic rehab. All right. Your sanity is their power source. The next one, pretty simple. The emotional transfer. Refusal to take accountability. Constant blame shifting. Constant victim acts. Oh, yeah. We ain't gonna never say my bad. It's always this your fault. The timing's fault. The world's fault. I cheated because you were never home. You pushed me away. Lack of sex made me go out here and look for whatever. You know how this shit go, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm just giving y'all key points and key things that I've seen and I've been a part of. You know what I'm saying? If your conflict always ends with you apologizing for their actions, you are trapped. You are responsible for managing their emotions, you know, but they take zero ownership for their own failures. It's not my fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. Straight up. And the next one, the disregard for empathy. They don't have no empathy, inability to, or unwillingness to recognize or identify with your feelings. They don't care about your feelings. I don't care about your feelings. They can't connect with your pain because it does not serve their ego. I've been there. When you tell them about a stressful day, they interrupt it, you know what I'm saying, to tell you about their much worse day. In their mind, it is a competition. This much worse now. You had a bad day? Okay, cool. Sorry you had a bad day. Here's how my day went. And you looking like, damn, what the fuck? Or when you cry, they say, stop being so dramatic. You're ruining the mood. The lack of emotional crutch. They lack it because they don't know how to feel bad for you because they too busy in their own circle. Your pain is irrelevant to their agenda. And believe me when I say that too, because a lot of times we be so in our own world that we don't even be caring what be going on in the next world. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Exploitation. Using partners, friends, and family for validation, connections, money. You know, a narcissist doesn't love you. That's the one thing that I want people to get from this, man. A narcissist don't love you. This is coming from a reformed narcissist. You are the emotional supply. Can you pay for this vacation? I'll pay you back next month. They never do. Can you introduce me to your boss? I need that real connection so I can get in. If the relationship is 90% about their needs and 10% about yours, you are the supply. It's just that simple. You are the supply. They use people like batteries. You know what I'm saying? And when you run low, they discard you and find the next supply. Been there. The unearned rage, extreme reaction, rage, withdrawal to the slightest hint of criticism. Like any slight criticism, even can you do the dishes, is viewed as a declaration of war. Oh, we going to war now. Anytime you ask me to do something that I don't feel like doing, we going to war now. Now we at war. And that's how it was. You know what I'm saying? They launch into a defense or rage. You know what I'm saying? It be like that, you know? They scream and threaten to leave if you suggest that they were 5 minutes late. They launch into a defensive rage, or criticism threatens the perfect facade they must maintain. So the rage is a warning. That shit's a warning. You are dealing with a deeply vulnerable ego, not a stable partner. If they fly off the handle every time you say something, it's a crazy feeling. And I encourage you to get the hell on. Because at the end of the day, if they're having all these traits, then these are the signs of telling you to get away. You don't have to take it. I've been here. CEO, what up? I've been here. You know what I'm saying? Narcissists, they don't have love for nobody. This is why y'all in Narcissist Rehab right now with Big Smash, a reformed narcissist. All right. So this is how do you balance getting away from a narcissist, right? Here's one thing. For survival, the rule is no contact. Block the number, block the social media, block the friends. You cannot heal in an environment that made you sick. Delete their numbers, delete the conversations, get a complete surgical severance to reset everything. Like, the silence is the greatest form of self-love. Once you open your eyes and be like, you know what? I don't have to take this. Facts, CL. I don't have to take this. I don't need to be around for this. I don't got to deal with it. And like I said, all of these hurt. They hurt them because they know that you for real. When you get cut off, they know that you for real. When I got cut off, I ain't gonna hold you. That shit hurt. That shit fucked me up. Like, shit, damn. After everything we've been through, you just cut me off like this? God damn. Shit hurt. I ain't gonna hold you. But I think it was necessary for the growth of Big Smash, because I had to grow out of that. You know what I'm saying? I had to grow out of that narcissistic phase. You know what I'm saying? It was scary, very scary, but it was needed. You got to move emotional reaction to starve the narcissist. All right. If you have kids of mutual business and must communicate, you become a gray rock. What I mean by that is, if they text, you destroyed our family, your only response is, got it. Pickup time is at 5 o'clock. And I've been there. That's why I can talk about it. Like, I sit here and I made it all them, you know, they gave me short answers. factual answers. They didn't lead me on. They didn't make it seem like, oh, we're gonna get back together. None of that shit. They kept it short, sweet, straight to the point. They removed the supply line. You know what I'm saying? They thrived on peace, and I thrived on anger. So if I'm not getting, anger in return, it's like, all right, I'm cool. I'm done with this. I'm gonna move on to the next. Fuck it. Then you have the ones who recognize the attempts to suck you back in after the silence. Once you go silent, they will try to suck you back in. They might text, had a dream about you last night. I've been thinking about you. I heard this song on the radio and it reminded me of me and you. Remember that place we went to and we heard that song? Remember that? Yeah, they'll do that shit. You know what I'm saying? I've changed. I'm not the same person that I used to be. No one will ever love you like I did. This is not remorse. I realized that a long time ago when I was saying a lot of this shit. Like, I'm not remorseful for this shit. I just want you to come back. I just need you to come back. So, a lot of times we would check and see if we still got it. We'll check and see if, we still got that emotional, connect. We'll check and see if we still got it, But if that person is smart that you trying to move around from, or, whatever the case is, you won't respond. This is the ultimate test. You starving them out. A lot of times you write down all your abuse and violations for personal reference. Your mind, and trust me, your mind would try to romanticize the past, right? You need physical evidence of everything that you went through. Write down every lie, every painful argument, every time you felt small. This list is to shield you from getting sucked back in. I used to have a little journal, and it was called Reasons I Left. First, it was called Reasons I Want to Leave. And then the second half was called Reasons I Left. And I would read that every time I felt tempted to go back. When you feel weak, you got to read the list and always choose your sanity. Reestablishing trust in the warnings. Like, you see the signs, you see the warnings. Narcissistic behavior is designed, the relationship, to destroy your intuition. Your first step in recovery is believing in yourself again. Once you're in a relationship that tears you down, that is the hardest relationship to come back from. You know what I'm saying? Because you lose hope in yourself. You got to start believing in yourself again. And I know after leaving somebody and being with somebody, you really have doubt. If it feels off, it is off. Real talk. Stop arguing with your gut. If your gut and your heart and your mind and everything is telling you, you got a weird feeling on the third date, honor that shit. Don't wait till the fourth date. If the third date, by the third date, and when you get yourself back out here again and you don't feel, you feel something off, it is off. You know what I'm saying? That instinct is for your protection. And you need to learn to listen to it more than you listen to people's lies. Because listen, some of the best people out here that show all the good traits and all that, they got good hearts. And they always get fucked over by the ones that's always lying and being sneaky. But your good heart won't allow you to feel and understand the sneakiness, because your heart is a good heart. You got to learn to start forgiving yourself for being manipulated and staying too long, because everybody gets manipulated. You know what I'm saying? You didn't attract a narcissist because you're weak. You attracted a narcissist because you're kind and you're empathetic. it was always easy for me to get in because shit, you were kind and empathetic. You got to forgive yourself for the time, the years, the money, everything that you put into it, because that's forgiveness is the final key to your freedom. It allows you to focus forward. You ain't got to worry about it no more. You got out. You got out. You did what you were supposed to do. You got out. You know what I'm saying? Take pride in that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times people do not get out of narcissistic relationships. And I look back and I'll be grateful. Like, I'm glad you got away from me. Now, there's some relationships that I dealt with a narcissist, but we're going to get into that at a later episode. I'll explain all that later. You cannot heal a deep wound with a Band-Aid. You need professional help. After dealing with a narcissist, you definitely need professional help. And that narcissist that you're dealing with, he or she needs professional help too. A good therapist is a co-pilot in your recovery. You need a specific therapist. You can't just use a regular therapist, for narcissistic trauma. And that's a real thing. You know what I'm saying? That's a real thing. Like, trust me. This is the reason why I feel like I'm cured and healed from a lot of things that I went through being a narcissist, and, passing that on to people. I never want to pass that on to nobody, man. That shit, that I wouldn't wish, listen, I wouldn't wish that no kind of behavior on nobody. I was like that for a lot of my years. But then I grew up out of it. I grew up out of it because I was smart enough to grow up out of it. I didn't want to hurt people no more. I didn't want to be hurt anymore. I didn't want to hurt anybody anymore. I didn't want to, I think once I got my heart broke to the point where it broke me to the point where I don't want to get my heart broke no more like this. And then I had to start realizing, like, damn, I really put a lot of people through some shit. And it's like, yeah, I don't never want to put nobody through that. I ain't gonna hold you. Leaving a narcissist isn't a breakup, it's an escape. You know what I'm saying? It's an escape. Relationship was designed to destroy your self-worth, and I probably did that a lot. I ain't gonna hold you. But I know sometimes when you look back at things, it heals you. And I think you have to heal yourself. If you have some narcissistic traits, heal yourself before you heal yourself. Before you try to get in here and get out here, before you try to get out here and deal with people, you gotta hear yourself. I ain't gonna hold you. Straight up. And if you can't hear yourself, therapy helps. Straight up. Finding a good, strong support system helps. I took a lot of time off of relationships after I realized that I was the problem. And there's nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with telling yourself you are the problem. You know what I'm saying? If you keep attracting the same type of people, you keep running into the same type of relationships, every relationship you get into and you got the same problems, it's you. No matter how much you want to sit here and be like, nah, it ain't me. No, it's definitely you. You know what I'm saying? I done been in countless broken relationships, and I could tell you every single time, it wasn't me. Now that I look back, some of them was definitely me. I was a problem. I was a love bomber at its finest. You know what I'm saying? I was a manipulator at its finest. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that was all me. I was the over boss, you know, the loud, arrogant, entitled. You know, I was quiet. I was hypersensitive. I was passive aggressive. All that. You know what I'm saying? I was definitely a gaslighter. Don't get it twisted. Everything was your fault. You know what I'm saying? I ain't had no empathy. I ain't care about your feelings. I ain't care if you was crying. I ain't care if you walked in and seen me, you know, who off the bam. I don't care. It's your fault. It's your fault. We make plans and you make us late. I don't even want to go now. Fuck that shit. Now you get this rage. Now I'm finna go curse your ass out, even though whatever, 5 minutes ain't that much of a big deal. But in my mind, at that point, yes, it was. Real shit. Now, I think I'm the total opposite of all of that. Like, I'm the total opposite of all of that. I believe in like I said, if I can't be good to you, then I'm not gonna pursue you. If I can't love you right, then I'm not gonna pursue you. Cause I'll be damned if I be responsible for, you know, being hurting another body that didn't deserve to be hurt. So you live and you learn. The real explanation for this episode is this. The moment you define your worth and enforce your boundaries, you become unattractive to a narcissist. There's plenty of women that I felt like I could get advantage of and take advantage of, but then there was plenty of women that was like, oh no, you ain't finna play with me. Ladies and gentlemen, you are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep somebody else warm. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep somebody else warm. Dealing with a narcissist, being a narcissist, it's all a tough rebuild in your life. You don't want to be a narcissist no more? Don't be one. You don't want to deal with a narcissist no more? Don't do it. But stand on it. Be firm with it. Rebuild your life. Rebuild a solid foundation. Rebuild self-respect. It's the ultimate win. Y'all already know what it is. I'm out. I'll explain all this later live. It ain't just a moment. It is the moment. See you soon.